Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Jason Rubin on the end. Tracy Sandler, thank you for being here. NFL blogger, turns out serious Niners fan.
It's true.
It's a tough week.
Very tough.
Very tough week to be a Niner fan. A lot of retirements, a lot of trades, a lot of free agent signings. Let's start with the trades. Or we'll call it acquisitions. We'll put trades and the free agent signings together. Sam Bradford, straight up, Nick Foles. What a great trade. I don't know who wins. I just think, wow, that is fascinating. Although there now may be some heat behind it. So first of all, with that trade, who wins that trade?
I think Philadelphia wins that trade if they end up trading up to get Mariota, which I really think is what's going to happen here. Because otherwise, this trade just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, a healthy Sam Bradford is a great quarterback, but I don't know that he's that much better quarterback than Nick Foles.
See, it's hard for me to make any judgment on the Philadelphia Eagles, whether they've won or lost with any of these trades, because the amount of moves they've made in the past 48 hours, they just picked up Ryan Matthews, too. They've gotten rid of LaShawn McCoy.
Ryan Matthews will change his mind tomorrow.
Right. Very good chance. Or he could get injured getting on the bus tomorrow. We don't know. But it's hard to make any snap judgment with the Eagles because until we see, first of all, any of these teams play, but specifically the Eagles, and until it's December, and if they're looking into the playoffs, if they're ahead of the NFC East, or if they're trailing behind, we don't know. I've never seen so many moves by one team.
And Sam Bradford was 14 touchdowns and 4 interceptions before he got hurt 2 years ago, and was on his way to a pretty good year. And his last 2 years have been pretty solid. The back half of, I guess, 12 and then 13, and then he misses all the 14. So a huge question mark in coming back. But he was never a super mobile quarterback to begin with. So, and then we read today, and of course it's entirely possible that Kelly goes and gets Mariota, but we read today that Kelly says, no, we're not mortgaging our future. We're staying where we are, which means Sam Bradford and Mark Sanchez are going to compete. Sam Bradford, healthy, is going to win that battle.
Right.
Yes.
It just is. Mark Sanchez has not turned into something else. And then while you think that in that Philly read option offense but the quarterbacks don't run very much in that. They ran like 12 times last year when they ran the read option. Bradford won't run, but that doesn't mean he can't run that offense and end up throwing from the pocket. So I like that trade because I'm interested to see what Sam Bradford can do for the first time ever with guys to throw to.
Right.
Which he's never had. And then like Jalen Rose, although he's not the quality of player Jalen Rose is, you just keep your fingers crossed. Like, come on, get a couple of seasons in.
Right.
Play quarterback in the NFL. Succeed, do well. And Foles to the Rams is much cheaper, and they get a free year out of Foles to see whether he's a legitimate NFL quarterback with
a good defense.
A good defense, and they're emerging receivers.
It's going to be interesting to watch next season. It's going to be very interesting.
And
We'll know better.
That's the second biggest trade of the day.
I've got all my breaking news from J.J. Watt yesterday on Twitter. If anybody was following what J.J. Watt was doing.
He's funny on Twitter. Yeah,
I'm also hearing from sources that there are talks of two-team swap for Benny the Jet Rodriguez from what great movie, Ben?
You're going to tell me. I don't remember. I don't have any idea.
The Sandlot.
The Sandlot, right. Because I've still never seen The Sandlot.
Jesus.
You've never seen The
Shuttlesworth.
Sandlot?
No, I was too old.
And Bryce Harper even chimed in on these, by the way, where he said, what about the package deal that includes Nuke LaLoosh and Crash Davis for the Bash Brothers?
Right, well, Nuke LaLoosh and Crash Davis, I know.
That's what I'm
That's too
movie.
easy. But
yes, Jimmy Graham.
I just can't believe that Max Unger got dealt.
To speak on the other end of that deal, yes, Jimmy Graham going to the Seahawks is the major blockbuster thing. Max Unger is a great offensive lineman, and that's not look, the Saints lose one of the best weapons.
You don't trade a game-changing weapon for a significant upgrade at center. Teams that need a center, and the Saints needed a center, they get it another way.
Right.
But also freed up a lot of cap space for them, and they've really mismanaged the cap.
I don't think this is a terrible deal for the Saints.
It's a terrible deal for the Saints, but it's a deal they probably had to make. I mean, they might be okay. It's good. They got a valuable member of the offensive line to anchor the offensive line. They got a number 1 pick. It's a 31st pick in the draft, but they got a pick that's going to turn into a useful player.
But
what it indicates, though, is that two things. That one, when Jimmy Graham had that arbitration dispute about whether he should be paid like a tight end or a wide receiver, and both the GM and Sean Payton testified against him, like that fractured that relationship.
Right.
That relationship is messed up. Like, what we are going to learn now is that the Saints wanted nothing to do with Jimmy Graham anymore. from a management point of view, if they had to, I mean, if they could have had him at some bargain, but as we get closer where they're going to have to pay this kind of money for a guy they see as a pain in the ass, they were prepared to get something else. And a late #1 pick and a starting all-pro caliber center, maybe that's enough. But for the Seahawks, if this guy isn't disruptive, if this isn't Percy Harvin, and I love that the Seahawks went and did this after what happened with Percy Harvin. Like, they did it, and it was a failure. And they quit on it. And now they're thinking, but that doesn't mean that the idea of getting a game-changing player they still went and did it. So going to be really interesting to see what happens with the Seahawks next year.
Seahawks are going to be very dangerous, as if they weren't before.
And also, they now have a marquee player to pair with Russell Wilson. When, at some point, Marshawn Lynch is not going to break as many tackles. It may be right now. It might be next year, but it may be the year after.
We don't know when the tread wears off on
that. And they're in a position to do it. So
and late in a game, late in a Super Bowl, Russell Wilson's got someone to throw to that could very well catch the ball in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, my hunch is Ricardo Lockette is not as strong as Jimmy Graham. That's my
hunch is probably right on.
That's going to be my.
And I like Ricardo Lockette.
My hunch is Ricardo Lockette also doesn't play basketball as well.
All right, so those are a couple big moves. Let's teach a couple more big moves.
Well, I think the Frank Gore move. I think what's big about the Frank Gore move was that it was a done deal with the Eagles come Sunday, and then all of a sudden it wasn't, and he goes to Indianapolis. I think that's a big one. I think Darrelle Revis to the Jets is a pretty big move, and I think the Patriots might suffer for it.
They definitely will, but I love the Patriots. They're just not going to pay him that much money. They're just not going to do it, and they think smartly, and so I like that Revis went. I don't have any problem with players moving around as often as they do when they get a chance to make that kind of money.
It's a business.
It's a business, and the teams don't have loyalty to you, and the Patriots always cut early, sometimes too early. So I like those both too. Gore, the number of 30, will be 32 when they kick off?
He'll be 32 in May.
He'll be 32 when the season kicks off. Number of 32-year-old running backs who change team and make a difference. I haven't looked it up, but I'm going to guess the number is 0.
We had one of those running backs on TYT Sports pretty recently.
Thomas Jones had his best year, at 31?
31.
Yeah, 31.
Right. So I think you have to change the number to 1.
And he played until he was 33. Thomas Jones hadn't taken nearly as many hits as Frank Gore. But yeah, so it's possible, and he certainly looked.
He looked good, and I think he probably has one really, really good year left in him. And if the Colts are gunning for Super Bowl next year, he might be their best shot.
Could be a big
and we saw in the playoffs that if he can hold on to the ball, that Boom Herron can play a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that's, 15 carries for Gore, 10 for Herron.
But why has nobody mentioned amongst this free agency about T.J. Yates signing with the Falcons? No? No? No love for T.J. Yates?
No, it's
0 love for T.J. Yates. Jeremy Maclin going to the Kansas City Chiefs. It will be nice to see a Chiefs wide receiver catch a ball in the end zone next season.
We'll see.
It would be impressive to hopefully see them catch a ball in the end zone. And then
they did have that one. They had that one called back.
Yeah.
Dwayne Bowe got in.
Dwayne Bowe got in.
Yeah, it turned out it was a half-yard.
That was the only time. And then some bright news for the San Francisco 49ers, Torrey Smith.
Yes.
Who I think is a very, very underrated downfield threat, and we've seen him step up big, of course, in clutch performances in the playoffs. And granted, Joe Flacco, who I've gone so back and forth on whether I believe in Joe Flacco or not. I know your feelings that he was one overthrown ball away or one tip ball away from
one bad jump away, one poorly timed leap.
One small step for man, yes.
One poorly timed leap away from losing $62 million or whatever.
But I think Torrey Smith is a very good downfield option for the 49ers.
Absolutely.
And I want to throw him in the top 15 receivers in the NFL. I think he really can.
No, you're not trying hard enough. You're not trying to make that list. You can come up with 25 without even trying hard. That's a crazy thing to say.
I don't think
crazy.
It's a crazy
thing
to say.
That is
not a crazy thing to say.
Like, we don't have time to run through the list. I hadn't prepared that list, but there's no way that's true.
I'd put him as number 15.
Let's bet $10 right now, and that after the show, we will make a list, and it will take us 2 minutes for you to go, oh, all right, no, that's crazy.
I'm going to give myself 10 minutes, and I'm down to make this list.
I will give you 5 minutes.
I'm putting him in at number 20.
20.
That could be wishful thinking.
That's also too high.
I think he's good. I'm actually really excited.
He wasn't the best player. He wasn't the best receiver on the Ravens last year, a team that was not a dynamic, that did not have a dynamic receiving
new
core.
System.
He's going back with Antoine Bolden. They have a great chemistry.
Will he be? Maybe. Possibly, but I doubt it. Right now, you think Torrey Smith's a better player than Michael Crabtree?
Oh, 1,000%.
100%. I would agree with that.
Oh my God!
Do you guys watch football?
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Michael Crabtree has had a lot of problems catching the ball recently.
That's overrated in a wide
He
receiver.
taught.
You're
The
looking.
great thing about Crabtree is what he could do after the catch. This past season, he had trouble making the catch and therefore not doing anything after it.
All
He
right.
was tied with my buddy Anquan Bolden for most drop pass in the league.
You can stay.
That's tough when the leaders play for the same team.
Yep.
So is Anquan Bolden back next year?
He is.
All right, so Torrey Smith and Anquan Bolden reunited. And they won a Super Bowl.
They did. So
Who'd they beat?
rude.
If you want to check out some of the other moves the teams made, they made a lot. Brian Hoyer plays for, I can't even remember. You go to Houston?
I think so.
And Ryan Fitzpatrick to the Jets. That is huge, huge. Check out the whole list. We got it right there. Thanks for watching.